Welcome to the most ear-splitting analysis you'll ever hear. The loudest tennis grunt ever recorded hit 109 decibels. That's louder than a chainsaw, a motorcycle, and definitely louder than any reasonable excuse for losing a Grand Slam final. Today we're ranking the top 5 loudest grunters in tennis history, plus diving into why Aryna Sabalenka's recent French Open drama proves that volume doesn't equal class.
Oh, don't get me started on Sabalenka. This woman grunts at 90+ decibels like she's conquering the world, then makes excuses like she's still learning tennis. She loses the French Open final to Coco Gauff and basically says, "I lost to myself, not to her brilliant play." Every grunt sounds like WHHHHH, "I'm gonna blame the conditions later." The science shows grunting increases shot power by 4%, but apparently it decreases sportsmanship by 50%.
I've faced these loud grunters on court, and the psychological warfare is real. When Maria Sharapova unleashes a 101 decibel shriek, you're experiencing auditory assault. But here's what people don't realize. Grunting legitimately increases shot velocity by 3.8% on ground strokes and 4.9% on serves. It also masks the sound of racket contact, making it harder for opponents to read ball speed and spin. So yes, it's annoying, but it's also strategic performance enhancement.
From a scientific standpoint, when Michelle Larcher de Brito hits 109 decibels, she's creating noise pollution comparable to a chainsaw. For context, prolonged exposure above 85 decibels causes hearing damage. Most of our top 5 grunters exceed this significantly. The fact that tennis allows 100+ decibel vocalizations in enclosed stadiums is acoustically remarkable and medically questionable.
I've attended over 200 matches, and my ears are basically trained grunt detectors. I can identify Sabalenka's grunt from 3 courts away. Sounds like someone stepped on a very large, very angry cat. When your Apple Watch starts sending noise exposure warnings during a tennis match, the science has gone too far. I've brought earplugs to Sabalenka matches and still leave with headaches.
The science behind grunting is actually legitimate. Research shows it increases shot velocity by 3.8% on ground strokes and 4.9% on serves. This happens because forced exhalation creates optimal intrathoracic pressure for maximum power transfer. It also helps regulate breathing under stress and improves timing coordination. So while Sabalenka sounds like a construction site, she's technically using legal performance enhancement. The question is, does volume equal results?
Beyond physical benefits, grunting serves psychological functions. It helps release tension, maintain rhythm, and enter flow state. But there's strategic intimidation too. Some grunters time their vocalizations to disrupt opponent concentration, grunt louder on big points, or extend sounds on crucial serves. The difference is between natural exhalation and weaponized noise. When players grunt after hitting the ball, that's pure tactical distraction with zero physiological benefit.
Now for our top 5 countdown. Number 5. Serena Williams at 88.9 decibels, the gold standard of functional grunting. Loud enough for performance benefits, not so excessive it becomes the story. With 23 Grand Slam titles, it's hard to argue with results. Number 4. Monica Seles at 93.2 decibels, the original grunter who started this whole phenomenon in the 1990s. She pioneered systematic grunting, but had the game to back it up with 9 Grand Slam titles.
Monica Seles gets a pass because she was genuinely innovative. Didn't know she was starting a trend that would produce the Sabalenka generation of ear-splitting drama queens. Monica's grunt seemed natural, and she backed it up with 9 Grand Slam titles. Serena never bothered me either. 88.9 decibels with authentic exertion, gracious interviews, and 23 majors. They grunted with purpose and won with class.
Number 3, Victoria Azarenka at 95 to 105 decibels, the strategic volume controller. Her woo-woo grunt varied with match pressure 95 decibels during routine points, spiking to 105 on crucial moments. This suggests conscious tactical use rather than natural breathing. At least she won 2 Australian Opens and reached world number 1. Her grunt was annoying, but she had the results and sportsmanship to justify the noise level.
Number 2. Maria Sharapova at 101 to 109 decibels, chainsaw territory. You could identify her matches from the parking lot, but here's why she gets respect. She owned it completely. When people complained, she basically said, "Deal with it. I've been doing this since age 4. Never made excuses, never blamed conditions." She grunted at Jetengen volume and won 5 Grand Slams with grace and class.
That's the difference between champions and current players. Sharapova grunted louder than a motorcycle but never made excuses when she lost. Compare that to Sabalenka grunts like a foghorn, loses finals, then suggests other players would have won if they'd made it instead of her. Sharapova loud grunts, gracious losses. Sabalenka loud grunts, graceless excuses. See the pattern.
In number 1, Michelle Larcher de Brito at 109 decibels, the absolute loudest grunt ever recorded. That's chainsaw territory, people. When she was 16 at Wimbledon, her grunts were so loud that Grand Slam supervisors were called to court. At 109 decibels, she wasn't playing tennis, she was creating an acoustic event that could cause hearing damage. But here's the kicker: when people complained, she said, "If you don't like my grunting, you can always leave." Brutal honesty.
109 decibels represents the absolute peak of recorded tennis vocalization. This exceeds most power tools, emergency sirens, and industrial machinery. For context, a lion's roar averages 110 decibels. Larcher de Brito was essentially producing big cat volume levels while playing professional tennis. The fact that a 16-year-old sustained these volumes throughout entire matches while maintaining competitive performance is acoustically remarkable and medically concerning.
Larcher de Brito was in a different universe. 109 decibels is legitimately dangerous, but she was unapologetic and consistent. She didn't grunt at chainsaw volume then blame weather when she lost. She was loud, proud, and honest about it. Unlike certain current players who combine maximum volume with minimum accountability. At least when Larcher de Brito lost, she didn't suggest her opponents would have lost to someone else.
Now let's address the elephant in the room, Sabalenka's French Open meltdown. She grunts at 90+ decibels, makes 70 unforced errors, loses to Coco Gauff in 3 sets, then claims, "I think Iga Swiatek would have beaten Coco if she made the final instead of me." This represents a fascinating case study. High volume during points, low grace afterward. The science shows her grunting enhances performance, but apparently not her emotional maturity.
This is exactly what drives me crazy. She grunts like she's conquering the world, then makes excuses like she's learning tennis. You want to grunt at 90+ decibels? Fine, but win with class and lose with dignity. Instead, she sounds like a construction site during points and a whining child in press conferences. Coco outplayed her after the first set, and Sabalenka's response is, "I lost to myself." No, Aryna, you lost to a better player who handled conditions better.
The Nick Bollettieri connection is fascinating. His academy trained Salis, Sharapova, Agassi, the Williams sisters, and Larcher de Brito, basically a who's who of famous grunters. While he denied teaching it as tactic, the pattern is suspicious. These players didn't naturally develop identical vocal techniques independently. There was clearly systematic breathing instruction happening. Whether intentional or not, Bollettieri's academy became the grunt factory of professional tennis.
The controversy will continue as tennis struggles to balance performance benefits with fan experience. The WTA has proposed grunt meters to monitor decibel levels, but enforcement remains challenging. The science supports moderate grunting for legitimate benefits, but extreme volumes create fairness debates. It's the difference between athletic enhancement and acoustic warfare, functional breathing versus strategic noise making.
My final message to current and future players: grunt if you must, but do it with class. Learn from champions who enhanced performance without assaulting eardrums. Don't grunt at jet engine volume, then blame atmospheric conditions when you lose finals. Sabalenka, if you're listening, and trust me, everyone within 5 miles can hear you work on post-match interviews as much as pre-shot vocalizations. Grunt loud, win graciously, lose with dignity.
The science shows grunting works up to 5% performance increase is legitimate, but there's a difference between functional breathing technique and acoustic warfare. Players like Serena used it perfectly. Players like Larcher de Brito pushed it to chainsaw levels. The controversy will continue, but hopefully future players will learn that you can grunt like a champion or grunt like Sabalenka loud during points, quiet about opponents' achievements afterward. The science of screaming is settled. The art of sportsmanship still needs work. Thanks for joining us.